Today we got something special for you. We are in New York City and are gonna visit the iconic steak restaurant Delmonico's. Opened as a restaurant in 1837 by the Delmonico's brothers, it was the first restaurant in US to be called a fine dining establishment. The dining room is smartly decorated with its blue curtains, its carpet floor, its wooden interior and its white ceiling. I've been wanting to visit this restaurant for a long time and now we're finally here, so please, together with me, let's find out if Delmonico's really is one of the best steakhouses in NYC. But before digging into the video, I just want to give a shout out to these two people, UA Eats and James Andrews. They are both based in NYC and are reviewing restaurants on a weekly manner. So if you want more information on the New York food scene, please visit their channels. They are fantastic. The table setting is nice and clean without any unnecessary stuff on there. Let's dig into the menu, shall we? The menu is quite extensive, and looking on the appetizers you will find the famous wedge salad which was created in this restaurant. But the hero here, if we move on to the mains, is of course the steaks, even though they have a few different other type of main courses as well. But the steaks here is of focus and that's what I will go for tonight, and let's see what kind of side dishes I will choose also. First to arrive at the table was the bread serving, and we had two different kind of breads to choose from here, and it was served together with the whipped butter. And normally I'm not a big fan of whipped butter because I think it takes away a little bit too much of the actual butter flavor, but it was decent and good enough here. As an appetizer I went with the caramelized bacon with maple syrup, and as you see here on the plate there were 3 pieces and it was topped with a little bit of chives. The bacon had a really nice caramelization on it and the cost for this starter was $23. Let's dig in and see how the flavor is. The bacon was really moist and succulent, and I really liked the saltiness that was spot on here, and the sweetness from the maple syrup really broke through in a nice way. It was enjoyable to eat, and I really like these type of servings that are really clean, so just putting 3 pieces of bacon on a plate without any other garnishes is a quite bold move, but I mean if you have the quality product to put on there, so why not? I have to say though that having the cost here at $23 for this type of starter is maybe pushing it a little bit too far in my book. Together with my bacon I had a cold IPA from the New York area. It was a good pairing and I really enjoy IPA as a beer type, and it works well to have with a fatty dish like this. But if I could have wished for something, is maybe that it would have been a little bit more carbonated than it was. Alright, let's dig into the main course now. For the main course I went with the dry-aged bone-in ribeye for $86, and I was looking at the signature dish, of course, the Delmonico ribeye, but I do prefer to have something that is more dry-aged rather than the wet-aged, so hence my choice here. The size of this bad boy was 22 ounces, and as you can see on the plate here, it's a beautiful caramelization, and you can see the charcoal spots that's all around the surface here on the ribeye. I chosen to have this steak at medium, and the reason for that is that when I choose a cut like ribeye, it's quite a lot of fat that is in the actual meat itself, and for me at least I like to have the temperature go up a little bit higher than let's say a rare or medium rare here, just for having the fat releasing its flavor throughout the steak as much as possible. Cutting into the meat here I can see that it was a perfect medium, and I'm not sure if it's coming through in the camera here in the right way. It was quite dark in the restaurant and a little bit hard to film. The flavor here was incredible. It really had that dry-aged effect that you get, and I mean that is almost going into the blue cheese territory of a flavor profile, absolutely packed with umami. It's so juicy and so tender. You can see that the restaurant has really chosen this cut of meat with great carefulness. And then you have the charcoal effect there all over the meat, and it was so enjoyable to have that, and I would have been happy just to have this meat by itself, but now we also have some side dishes that we need to test. The pommes puree, as expected, was really buttery and creamy and nice to have together with the steak. And what is good about that side dish is that it's not having too much flavor itself, but it's really just giving an addition to the actual meat itself and lifting that to another level. And then of course having some vegetables there, and I really enjoy asparagus now when they are in season, so really nicely grilled here, the right texture, and it was nice just to have something that lightened up the dish a little bit. Together with my ribeye I had a glass of Cabernet Sauvignon from the California region. It was nice and fruity and the tannins were quite low, but it didn't bloom out maybe in the way that I expected, and when you are paying $30 for a glass of wine, I think you should expect that it should be a pretty damn good glass of wine, and this was mediocre in my view. I was really happy with this main course because everything was just spot on. The meat was so flavorsome and nice, but I mean, when you're paying $87 also for only the cut of meat, of course your expectations should be very high, but I think that Delmonico's here really delivered on the meat itself, so I'm glad that they have put an effort in and really ensuring that the meat that they are serving is of the absolutely highest quality that you can imagine. I was quite stuffed after that big main course, but there is a dish here on the dessert menu that you should try, and that is the Baked Alaska, and the word is going that this is actually the restaurant where this dish was created. Cutting into the cake here, and the first thing that strikes my mind is that the meringue layer is pretty thin around the banana ice cream. And underneath here you'll of course find the walnut cake and the apricot jam on the side as well. It looks nice, and I really enjoy the effect of when you're pouring the alcohol table side and it gives that burning flambéed action that is so useful in a restaurant setting that is a little bit more dark as this one was. Moving into the actual flavors here in the dessert, and I thought it was a little bit of a ratio issue here where the banana ice cream took a little bit too much space and was dominating a little bit the other flavors in here as the apricot jam and the walnut cake and the meringue. But overall, I mean, it was a solid dessert and I enjoyed it, and it's eating a little bit of a history, so it was good. And now coming into the scoring of this restaurant, and starting with the food here, I'm gonna place that point at 86, and this restaurant I really recommend. You're coming in here, you're seeing a part of American history in New York, and if you're a steak loving person as I am, you should definitely go and experience this. It's not a cheap restaurant, but it is a good quality restaurant that serves beautiful steaks. The service here at Delmonico's was extremely speedy and good and attentive, so I'm placing that point at 88. Everyone was very professional and liked to talk to the tables and explain a little bit more about the dishes and the history of the restaurant, so really good service staff that is working in this place. And then coming into the value scoring here, and I'm placing that point at 83, and it's not a cheap restaurant this, and you're paying a pretty hefty price for the dishes that is coming out from the kitchen and the drinks as well. That said though, it's quality ingredients that are being used here and that I appreciate a lot. Alright my friends, this was the episode from Delmonico's in New York, and I hope you have enjoyed this, and I hope to see you next time where we will review somewhere else. Bye bye.